Try to imagine that God is like the sun. Really, God would be like, just metaphorically, the great, great, great central sun of all existence, of all creation. And then all the suns and planets, but all the suns blew off of that in the Big Bang. And then from those planets from those little suns, smaller suns, come planets. And so on and so on. So moons and all that. So it's a digression. You could call it a progression, but it's really kind of a digression. It's a concept of the separation. We were once part of the pure light of God. Even using suns as a symbol of it, even God being the great central sun of the center of the universe is still a little odd, because then it's material and God isn't, but it's just a metaphor. And so you could say we are the stars. We are the stars in the universe. Edgar Cayce said that, I think in just one reading in passing, and I thought, great, because it corroborates what I'm saying, and it's so beautiful, almost poetic, that he says, there is a star in the universe for every human being that's ever lived. That means a countless number of stars exist, but what's amazing is there's one that symbolizes you. And I actually believe that science one day will come to make a connection between the number of neurons in the head and the number of stars. Now, mind you, neurons can be changed and developed and this and that and the other, but so is the universe morphing and changing. I'm just saying that the mind is symbolized in the brain, and the brain symbolizes or concretizes what we know in the universe. In other words, here's the outer perimeter, let's say, pretend there's an outer perimeter of the universe, and here's the universe. Imagine that's your skull, and inside are all these glistening stars, and those stars are neurons firing. And human beings are so narrow that they get into one little portion of the brain and say, I am just in touch with everything. My beliefs are all there is. It makes no sense whatsoever. So you can try and go out there and learn everything, try to fire up every neuron, try to be every star in the universe, and that's not going to happen. Typically for a human being in this dimension, in this universe, it's not going to happen. Other than the shortcut. The shortcut means this. The shortcut means to say, instead of my trying to get in touch with every neuron and every star, why don't I get in touch with every thought within my own consciousness? Why don't I start seeing the connection of everything? Instead of trying to go out and connect with every star, like a scientist trying to map a universe or an ocean, it's amazing that we don't map ourselves spiritually. Even when we say we map ourselves, it's still physiology and anatomy. And that's kind of still mundane. People don't traverse the depths of the human soul because they don't know how. Because a human can't do it. It takes a soul. I don't know if you know this, but there are carvings, thousands of years old, of molecules, atoms, meridians, in the body, chakras. How did anybody know that? They didn't scientifically go and figure that out. They went within, and going within can give us everything. So, it's kind of an amazing thing if you think about it. We don't have to go learn it all, but we can learn to listen. I'm really not teaching typically things outer oriented. It might sound like it, but I'm typically not teaching outer things. I teach about courage, fighting life's battles. It's always internal stuff. Awakening Christ consciousness, healing wounds. You don't hear me usually saying something like, something of just that the goal is mundane. I might use external metaphors and all that, but I don't usually have external goals in what I talk about. First and foremost, God. Secondly, self. Third, how to relate all that to others. So God is this beautiful fire, this core central sun in this universe. And we're all the suns that burst off of that in one respect. You could also make it a little more mundane and say God is like the sun and it's our source of life and all that. But here's what we do. Once upon a time, cultures used to look to the sun, let's pretend for a moment, reflect back and say, wow, there's the sun. We celebrated the sun coming back each year after winter and solstices and equinoxes. It's beautiful. See, equinoxes and all this. It's all fantastic, really. Makes sense, has purpose, all that. I totally get that. And yet, when Jesus did what he did as a teacher, as a master, as an enlightened being, when he did what he did, one of the main points of what he taught, if there's only 3 main points, it's one of the 3 primary points he taught, which is this. Stop looking up, stop thanking the sun, stop this and that and the other outside, the moon and whatnot, and instead look at the sun within yourself, because you are the son of God. Not male son, you are the son of God. There is God, this great central part of this universe. Really, it's not the great central, it's through the great central is where you would find God. If it's a 2-dimensional map and you said, there's the great central sun of the universe right here, what would happen is you would not go to it and find God. There was actually a Star Trek episode, kind of preposterous, but it was about taking the ship to this one part of the universe where they would find God. But it's not about you would go to it and find God if it's mapped out 2-dimensionally. What would happen is you would go to it and through it. But if you go to it and through it, you would go through it, and the map then would disappear and you would be in this place, God, the consciousness of God. So the place we live, even though it looks 3-dimensional, is really more like a 2-dimensional thing, universe. We live 2-dimensionally, we move chronologically. We think time, it's 12 o'clock, it's 1 o'clock, it's 2 o'clock. That means we live just like on a piece of paper. We just move across the sheet. And then another lifetime, tear the sheet off, put a new one, you start another lifetime. Tear the sheet and do another one. It's treated very linearly. And even if you say, no, because we believe in reincarnation and eternal life, all that is a circle on a freaking piece of paper. You still end up on a piece of paper. You really get nowhere till you go through that central sun into God. And where is that great central sun? Just right here, pretty much. But what does that mean? Sit around and, meditate till you're completely, babbling, and you're just like not even human anymore because you're just so in touch with your third eye or the light of God. No, again, you don't go and find God literally inside your skull of your third eye in your skull. It's just like that doorway. So you and I are all born through a womb, that shape, the female organ, the womb. That shape is called the Vesica Pisces. And that shape, when you turn it this way, starts to look like the thing Jesus drew, which was called the Vesica Pisces, and it became the Christian symbol, the fish, right? So that symbol is what we're born through. It's a doorway. It's also the same doorway you have right here. It's the shape of your third eye. It's the shape of our eyes. But these eyes lie to us because they tell us about this and that, duality. We learn to drop these eyes and we open up one eye here, not because that part of the body is God in itself. It's because that's the doorway too. So every time we learn to meditate, in some ways Yogananda explained this, of course, but every time we learn to meditate, there's light developing in our head. If you're meditating properly, just a footnote. Some people will say, I'm meditating. Really? What do you do in your meditation? I'm picturing that I am walking along a stream and it's just so relaxing. It's not meditation, that's relaxation. Okay, then I'm meditating. I'm thinking about a dot, just a dot. That's called concentration. So there's a difference between concentration, visualization, meditation. They're all different. But if you're going to call it meditation, or anybody else for that matter, it has to incorporate something about God. It isn't meditation if it doesn't involve God, sorry to say. So that'll kind of trim down some of the things you might be doing in your life that you call spiritual or meditation. They're beautiful, they're helpful. All of those other things are helpful. Just don't call them meditation. Now, if you know somebody that sits around and visualizes babbling brooks, and they're walking along the stream, and they put their feet in, and it was just so cool and tranquil. Oh my God, I could even feel the waters rushing along my feet. And then in the waters I saw a beautiful fish just scooting along. It was all just a great visualization as I lie back in the ferns of the forest and so on. That's very, very cool. I'm glad you relaxed. It has nothing to do with God, okay? Just doesn't. But if somebody tells you that, I wouldn't tell them, oh my God, do you know that that's not meditation? Because then you're going to sound like a fundamental Christian hammering on people for not being, doing the right thing or being spiritual enough. So no, you don't have to correct people. But if ever it comes up, a gentle kind of a hint about it, kind of like, wow, that's great. Always start with that. That's great. And then add, I was doing that a while too. And I started finding that on those visualizations, when I'm walking along the brook, the river, the stream, and I'm seeing the fish in the water, and I'm laying back on the ferns, you can affirm all that for them, but just add something cool like, and then I let my mind go, and I call upon the name of God, or the presence of God, and then all of a sudden I start feeling this blissful, joyous feeling, and there you go. You've kind of added something to what they're already doing, but something that gets them somewhere other than more relaxed. Okay? I hope that makes sense. Now, back to the idea. Notice how I can go any direction and it all comes out the same. Meaning, I can talk about the flower, I can talk about the sun, I can talk about the third eye, I can talk about cultures looking up at the golden orb in the sky, and they're all the same. In that they're all symbols of something. God isn't the third eye, but is seen, felt through the third eye. God is not found anywhere in the universe, but through the main central sun would be the doorway to the other side. That doesn't mean you could actually fly a ship there. I'm not saying that. And it isn't, that the world, doesn't have that. Because if you think about it, here I am sitting in the world right now. So where's that central sun? It's up in the sky in the great central sun of the universe. Yes, but you're not getting there today. You're not flying your Honda Accord up there, right? So how do you get there? Because every one of us is actually also an embodiment of that Vesica. So I am a doorway. I am the door. Jesus is saying, I am a door. If you knock, the door shall be open. The door he's talking about is Christ consciousness. God, I am presence. It's right here. And I am the door. I am the door. Knock. Here I am, knock. But we don't get that. We look at each other and the doors are always closed. The distrust is there. You say you love somebody and then they betray you. You say you love someone, they don't return the love. So the door always seems shut. Okay, wait, I believe. Suddenly I'm converted, I believe. Okay, God, here I am. I'm the doorway, so let me find you. Ready, go. Nothing happened. Let me check. Oh. I still have a gray hair. So what happened? God, you were supposed to spiritualize me, I'm still hungry. This world will try to make you look at vault doors that are shut down, cemented over, it doesn't show you an open door. So we are doors that are open, that are shut. But if we're even shut, they're doors that are waiting to be opened. Every door here, every door in the center of the universe, every door that is called a human being will at some point or another finally trust again and be opened. But we all come through the female symbol, the divine feminine symbol of the Vesica Pisces. And we're born physically through there. We come out, we're babies, we're born. But when you're born spiritually, you have to go through here. The womb to be born physically, the third eye to be born spiritually. And everything like that's connected. This world has the metaphor itself of that third eye, not only physically in the womb, but I'm talking about spiritually. Every one of us has this. It's like, who's missing that? You'd have to be decapitated to not have it. And even then, you'd still have it. Even the headless horseman has a head somewhere. So if you didn't have a head, you could say, well, there's somebody out there that's got to be an exception about that third eye. No. If you're alive on this planet, you have one, right? So it's kind of cool. Third eye right there. And through that, I find God. Well, how do I get to that? Well, that's why they're symbols of the Kundalini, Don't be thinking about pumping Kundalini up your spine, but think about the Kundalini being a symbol of you. I reside at the base of my spine. I am the Kundalini. And the Kundalini is also known as the Shakti, and the Shakti means the female energy, the female self. But it's not just female, it's the soul, because the soul is, thought to be feminine by mythology or symbology. So Shakti, the feminine me, my soul, wants to be with God again. It's just a symbol. God is the male, I am the female. This isn't about men and women hooking up, this spiritual concept of male and female and sexual alchemy and all that. It's all fine and everybody can do as they may, but what I'm saying is the ultimate spiritual union is not men and women. Even the beautiful symbol in Tantra and in Hinduism and so forth, you'll see a symbol of a female straddling a male sitting on his lap. It's a very sexy picture. People are like, ooh, she's usually quite breasty and all that, so it looks quite nice. But first of all, their assumption then is it's a very sexy and sensual kind of position. Except the position they're in, she wouldn't be able to move a whole lot, so it's not that pleasurable. Often she's wearing clothing, so I can't say that lots happening there either. It's just these are people with demented minds putting that human projection onto it. It's a symbol saying that here's a symbol of wholeness. So it's a male and a female, which can be two females, two males, or a male and a female. It's a male and a female showing you a symbol. They're joined in union. It's called yab-yum position, and it means the masculine, feminine kind of fused. It's a great symbol, but if you make it into nothing but a physical symbol, you've missed the point. It's a great symbol of any two people joining and letting go. It's quite cool when you can sit with a person that you trust, and they sit with you and you just join in, kind of like Rumi, like Hafiz and other, great teachers that taught like eye-gazing exercises, but you look into each other's eyes, and at first you're looking in the eyes, but then the eyes gradually start disappearing and you start seeing greater depths and greater depths. You see what you're doing is you're gradually trancing out of these eyes and into this eye, where you're just starting, you go from seeing a person, hi, nice to see you, you too, okay, great, let's sit together, hey, hi, let's breathe and relax together, but gradually the eyes and then the disappearing. See, even as I'm looking at a camera that is a symbol of you folks, I actually see the camera starts to morph and look weird and wobbly, as though, I'm on acid or something, It starts to get weird, but we don't care about that stuff because that's not how it's done. It's letting go of the physical. It's no longer there, and all of a sudden, see, like right now, as I'm looking through the camera, what's happening is there's an energy that's going outward, and it's, I'm not trying to be all woo-woo, but it's connecting with everybody, wow. So now the whole room's filled with light. I have to pause so that I don't lose that. So now the whole room is in this mist. Yeah. And as I hold that, just try to breathe, And it's not a Michael thing. Just imagine that it's you and God, just be with God. Just imagine you're looking here. You can use my face as that symbol. Okay? And just look and just forget that it's Michael and that there's this person whose eyes are being made available, and look within those eyes. And then let the face and image start to disappear. Try not to blink, but if you do, make it quick and come right back. And just let the image of me fade away and start to go through, that I'm a portal. There's a doorway that I am. Go into that portal and then start disappearing kind of your human self. And do this only with the intention of God, being one with God. Here I am, beloved. Here I am, God. Here I am. I'm a soul. We're all female in the sense that the soul is considered to be feminine. So we go in and we just let go. Don't think, don't tell God what to do, just go in and here I am. And you can be aware of things happening. All of a sudden there's pulses you didn't know that were there. It could be your cranial pulse. That's your Kundalini as well. You might feel chakras. You might see symbols. All of it is beautiful. Don't chase any of them. Just, wow, just be in the, whatever God reveals in this moment. Let everything disappear but love. Wow. And just feel all of us doing this together. There are thousands of people at the same time doing this together. Here I am, God. And close your eyes. And let this internalize. See if you see anything remaining. We went through a portal of the Divine Feminine. We went through a portal of the Sun, the Great Central Sun, the third eye, all forms of it, through it and into the oneness of God. And while we reside there, just for a moment longer, let's recognize that in this space, nothing can affect us, nothing can harm us, because nothing is no thing. It doesn't even exist. It means we're perfectly safe. And if we can anchor this in, this will pay your bills. This will heal your body. It can do anything. If we can believe in the thing we thought was nothing, spirit, and let go of the things we thought were there. Switch it around. Let go. Things become no things. And the no thing that is God becomes everything. Feel totally loved, feel totally safe, because that's you and God. It's shared with all of us. And it's okay and it's right that it's shared with all of us. But really, this is between you and God. Soak it in, just another breath or two, and then gradually come back to the room. Thank you. Take your time. And if you share something like this with someone, and you sit and you eye gaze, you learn to just relax and breathe together. And then sometimes you take a deep breath and you let the sound of God come through you, like you're a flute and God plays through you. And you just allow a sound without inhibiting, just, a sigh. But then make it last and sustain. Something like that, and just just let a sound come through, and you'll find that these two voices start to they start to like broaden and become big and fill the room and reverberate. It's beautiful. The sound is only a symbol. It's not the answer. It's not the goal. It's a symbol, and it just enhances this whole feeling of, oh my God, I'm totally one with this person and breathing and pulsing with this person. It's very, very beautiful. You know, and it's great to do sitting together and facing each other. You know, you could do that just when you hug someone. And I would love to see a world where people could just hug and share sound, hug and share eye connection and all that. And even though it might sound odd for me to say the following, because it'll sound like, you know, it sounds negative, I'm just saying to you, with all due respect of where people are at, you know, it would get funky, wouldn't it? A cop pulls you over, writes you a ticket, and you say, would you just do some eye connecting with me? You know, the world doesn't, you know, dig that. And people, you know, that's one reason I loved once upon a time when I taught sacred sexuality workshops, because we could ask and share and do almost anything, and nobody cared because they knew they were there to learn and be open. So it was beautiful because it could stay healthy, safe, and controlled, so to speak. But God, you know, a person could just walk up to somebody and just say, would you mind if we just eye connect and breathe? And it was just beautiful to watch people do things like that. What I loved most, the number one thing I loved in periods of my life when friends were friends with, you know, and really being true to each other as friends, the trust was there, and those workshops, or any workshop, but those workshops. What I love most in life, if I were to name one thing, even just in human beings walking down the street, I love seeing human beings let go. I do. Whatever the reason, I just love it. I can track that and say all these beautiful things about it. It represents surrender. It represents being one with God. It does. It represents all these sublime things, but it also represents very humanistic things. People letting go means they're unwinding. Oh my God, their nervous system, their tensions, their musculature. If you're a massage therapist, you would love to feel the moments when people's muscles are releasing. That's great, right? If you're a chiropractor, oh, there's that vertebra's letting go. Isn't that beautiful? If you see some surgeon working on somebody and there's problems and then it gets resolved, they're quite happy with that. You know, and intimately, sensually, when people can let go. In anything, singers, when they can let go. Laughter. And just to be able to let go, that concept of abandon, I think it's a beautiful thing because of what it leads to. It of itself isn't the beauty. It's that it's happening is the first half. The second half is where it leads us. That laughter can actually heal us. Laughter can heal. And so can letting go in any regard. Remember that Jesus tells you strangely about A Course in Miracles. He says, this course isn't actually going to try to teach you about anything. Wow, okay. You know, he's like, that's not really going to help. And you have all kinds of philosophers that sit around, I'm teaching you, I'm telling you this and that and the other. And he says, and the world's still pretty screwed up. The ratio, if you knew it, you'd kill yourself. You know, the ratio is so bad as to how many people have woken up in all of history and how many have not. The ratio would just make everybody quite depressed. No, you know, no offense, I'm just being playful with that, but wow, I mean, the ratio is not even 1 billion to 1. The ratio is way, way off. So Jesus says, we're not doing that. What I'm going to do is, I want to teach you how to see the parts of you that are in the way of your bliss. Instead of just telling you all about bliss, follow me, we'll all head off to Blissville, you know. He says, you know, some of you will try to do that and you'll just become you know, hypnotized, you know, followers, and I don't want that, he's saying. And others are going to get all, you know, their minds blown. So he's like, let's stop. Let's just get you to start peeling your own layers off. Now, how do I get you to want to do that? You know, that's like walking into a bar and say, do you realize alcohol's not good for you? And they're all going to go, whoa! Hell, nobody told that. Had we known that, we wouldn't be here. Let's all go somewhere and hang out at a park, perhaps, you know, feed pigeons. They're not going to do that. People don't want to heal. There's reasons. The main reason is fear. There's also control. It's a control trip to not heal. But we won't go into that right now. I have DVDs about all that stuff about healing and all that you might want to look at, but we're not going there right now. All I'm saying, though, is that people resist, and you would think they wouldn't, or that they don't, but they do. So Jesus is like, we got to teach you how to want to look at, the stuff that's in the way. Not talk about bliss. Let's talk about, and we'll get, he peppers that in there, but we're not going to focus just on bliss, because that won't get you home. Not at a good ratio, percentage. So he says, we're going to talk about how to peel the layers off of the bliss, the things covering the bliss. How do we get you to want to do that? He says, I guess we're going to have to try to teach you and convince you that you're not happy without the bliss. You're not at peace. So it sounds like a really negative approach, but it's the right approach. So he says, I'm going to want to teach you then how unhappy you are without God. And I guess that's maybe why sometimes you'll hear me sounding sarcastic or cynical, or whatever you might, even the better word for it's probably just irreverent. And it's because I have no reverence for the things, the stupidities of this world. I don't. I don't mean I don't have any reverence at all for anything. I just don't have reverence for the stupidities, for the things that people do to pretend that they're not holy. I'm not going to rever that. That's ridiculous. Why would I do that? That's going to make you unholy. I don't have reverence for people, BSing themselves or others and saying, I'm really spiritual because, when I do acid, I see colors, No, that's not spiritual at all. It's synthetic. It's fake, So I make fun of those things. But I love the people that do such things. I still love the people. Any one of them that would say, hey, what can I do, to open my heart or whatever? I would never turn them away. So I love the people. The behaviors are really ridiculous because the behaviors come from ego. And ego gets no reverence because it doesn't even exist. Not because I hate the ego. That would then make it into something. No, I just get it. I know what it is and what it isn't. And it is a pain in the ass, and it isn't real. So it gets in people's way. We keep feeding it, and so it seems to exist because we keep feeding this nothing. So as I'm closing now, I just want to share, I hope you gained from the meditation experience. I just did that. It just started happening. And there's something interesting that I want to say about that, but it just happened. I didn't plan on it, and I've never done it, and I don't know if I ever will again, but I never have done that on camera or during videos, filming and all that, for various reasons. But notice how what I was doing was I was going to explain how something's done. But as soon as I start explaining how, it already starts happening for me. That goes back to where I started with this search find. When someone says, can you explain the human aura? Search, find, aura. And it all starts downloading, and I start rambling about auras, And I don't just go, auras are your colors of being. Some lofty, worthless statement that's maybe poetic, but didn't really tell them anything. They can go, okay, thank you, I still don't know what auras are. So I say things like, I might say, man, it's the glow of your soul. I might say things like that. But I'm also going to say, well, your body is sort of like your home. And electricity in the house is kind of like the presence of God and your energy systems. And because you are home, when you turn on your lights, notice when you go outside, the house glows. The windows, there's glowing. Those are called chakras. The light in your soul glowing through the windows of your soul, which are your chakras, not just your eyes, they say are the windows of the soul. It's your chakras, really. So we have these beautiful windows, glowing light, just like in the evening, and you look at a house and beautiful glowing, it's that, that's what it's like, the chakras. And that house, if you look at infrared footage of a house, you'll see that there's even heat and light coming out. You can't see it when you look at, with most people, when you look at a house. But notice how when they do special photography, filming, you see light coming, warmth coming from the house. That's your aura. So your aura isn't something that wraps around you. You don't put it on like a coat, literally. It emanates from you. That's why the color of your aura, if it's blue, it's telling us something that's happening inside of you, the type of person you are. You know, so colors do change in the aura. So you can't just say, I always have a blue aura, as an example. But what you can do is that most people, when they're the most common color you see in their aura, that is probably the most common state of their being. Okay? But it does change. We're not doing a talk on auras right now. I just wanted to make a point that a word, and then it all starts downloading in metaphors and all. Examples, metaphors, stories, you know, whatever it may be, because all of that is connected. And we started that way. If you want to know everything in the universe, don't go and look and find it per se, but start looking for how things connect. So let's say you heard this talk today. Ask yourself how that applies. How it applies to your life, how it applies to friends. Oh, well, wait a minute. Stars are in relationship to one another, and yet there's stars in one galaxy versus another. Oh, wait. So maybe the stars in one galaxy are kind of like a group soul, right? A soul group. Oh, okay. That makes sense why some of us connect and get along. We're like, hey, you're a Milky Wayer, aren't you? Yes, I am. You know, and then there's other galaxies, other solar systems. So I'm, you know, our really close families, this solar system is our family and cycles of evolution. This solar system. We venture off here and there, but we're very much this solar system. And then we're also, that's a small version of this, you know, this galaxy. And then that galaxy's part of a local part of the universe, you know, and so on and so on. So we're all connected. But some of us have connected more often when we came in and stayed a little more resonant with each other. Each of us, though, is a light that has sparked off of the original fire. So here's a fire, that's God. Sparks, pop, pop, pop. And those are like suns shooting off of the great central sun, popping out there and becoming suns. You know, meaning not S-O-N, but S-U-N. So we got to be careful not to mess around and play gender on it here, you know. When we were told that Jesus was the Son of God, it was a symbol of Jesus remembers that he's the Son of God. And you should remember that you're the Son of God. You are the Son. You know, don't think of it as the one and only, which was a misinterpretation in scriptures, but think of it like when somebody meets you and says, aren't you the daughter of so-and-so? Aren't you the son of so-and-so? It's more like the identity. Yes, I'm the Son of God. And this is also the Son of God, and this is the Son of God. But you don't just blatantly throw it out there and say, I'm the Son of God. What you do is you have to remember that you're the Son of God. The Son, the spark, the light. I'm the light of God in this world. And the name Christ means just that. I'm the light of God. Not the one and only, but I am the light of God. Meaning I live as an intention to be a light in this universe. A sun. What does the sun do? It gives us light and warmth. Other things you could speculate and all that, but mainly light and warmth. What do you think your aura gives? But if your aura is all decrepit because your soul is all decrepit, you're not really bringing light and warmth to the world. If right now the actual sun in the universe was in the condition that most human beings are in, all life on the planet would be dead within hours because it would give us nothing. And it would be over in minutes or hours or whatever, soon enough. So imagine that. If you are a sun, a spark of God, are you bringing warmth to the world? Are you bringing light to the world? That's all we have to ask ourselves. Forget everything else. Let's all just become pagans and call ourselves lights to the world and ask yourself, are you doing it? I am a sun, but are you rising and bringing warmth where there was a good chill in somebody's soul? You know, some people are living winter forever. You know, they're like living in Narnia, where the ego turned Narnia into a perpetual winter. It's always winter, but never Christmas, is the way they said it. What do you think that meant? Always frozen, traumatized, Never Christmas, which means no presence of Christ or God. Not a great way to live. And that's what we're leaving people in. That state is what we're leaving people in when we don't do something to bring the light, to the world. I know it's hard to deal with difficult people. I really dig nice people. I do. I like nice people. Nice people are just so cool. And when they're honest and they're vulnerable and they're loving, they don't have harmful intentions or agendas. They're just sweet. I love that. And I would love to see more and more people just being able to say, God, wouldn't it be great that we could walk around the earth instead of saying, hi, how about I love you? Wouldn't that just be so cool? Everybody meeting in every place, gas stations and on the freeway, everything's I love you. To greet each other, I love you. Kind of the namaste thing, but just learning to greet, I love you. God, I'm so grateful to be able to be in your presence. But instead, people are annoying because they're in their ego. It causes us to then get fearful. We shut down and push them back at a distance. We don't make eye contact, and we all live packed like lemmings in cities. Nobody, living like lemmings, all just grouped across the crosswalks and all that, sardine-like. And that's not a thriving life. So I am the light of the world. And if I'm the light of the world, then I'm supposed to bring light and warmth. Did I do that today? How did I do that today? Next day, God, that felt great. How could I do that even more? And that's why I do these talks, because it's bringing the light as best I can, on any given moment. And sometimes, like I said, I'll seem more irreverent and sometimes a little softer. And it's all for reasons. It's each facet like that has a reason. So I pray this has made good sense. I pray that you've gained from it, truly. I really do. And I really appreciate this, because by us popping out this tripod and putting this camera up and allowing me to kind of search, find, I'm always in this movement too. We're in this together. We're in this solar system. I'm playing like a role of a teacher to a degree, but do I think that here's the solar system we live in, here's our solar system or the galaxy, and I'm over here just kind of watching all you spiritual minions living life down in your earth plane or your solar system or whatever? That's not how I think of it at all. But it'll sometimes seem like that, I think, to people, because I really just do my best to stay in the light of God. So sometimes people that are not living in that light will feel like or look like they're over here. And I can't help that. I just, because I've got to just do my best to stay in this light. So where you go, bring the light. You go into a store, do your best to be different than the worrisome people, the rushed people. Try to bring the light. You go to a family reunion, if you're insane enough to go. No, I'm kidding. But if you're going to do such ventures, then you know what? You tether to God, man, and you go, Sometimes those are beautiful events for people, and sometimes they're challenging. But if you're going to do it, God be with me. It's a funny way to say it, but God be with me. I've joked and said it before. I'm going in, So connect with God, and here we go. Not because you're better than anyone. All I know is I'm choosing to remember and be the light. I am not evaluating how much light they do or don't have. I don't care. That's their business. All I know is I am going to do my best to be the light. You go into those scenarios. Some people will immediately shrink back like a sci-fi movie, because that's how wicked they might be in their soul. Their real soul is light, but that they might be so caught up in their stuff that they start, like a vampire movie, and you're the holy water, No, they won't always dig that. So, just let it go. And when you can make a difference, God, you're going to say, oh my God, I got to try this again. You'll get real bold, because when you do see the difference you make, and I've seen that even in family environments, and that those are hard places for some of us to pull it off. But to be able to have pulled it off there, I feel already wow, in my life. But wherever you're called, just how can I be the light? And you don't have to remember the words all the time. Please just remember this. Start every day. Here I am, God. Where would you have me go? What would you have me do and not say? And what would you have me say and not say? Like, just in other words, it's a generic statement that's just saying, here I am. Like, guide me, be with me. And then just remember that throughout the day as best you can. At the end of the day, give thanks when it worked, when it happened, so that you're registering gratitude for goodness and not taking it for granted. All right? I pray this has made good sense. Let's all walk together and stay committed to walking back through that light, okay? The light that you are. Thank you, guys. Peace be with you. Bye-bye.